So, what if I tell you that Croatia in 2020 was supposed to be not just a great country in sports on Olympics, which we will never see because Olympics didn't happen, but also we were presided the European Union for the first 6 months, and also Rijeka, which is a city full of culture and really good rock bands, was a head capital of culture for whole Europe. Now imagine all of that, and now imagine what actually happened. You don't have to imagine. What actually happened was coronavirus and all that kind of stuff. But still, Rijeka pushed forward, and even they have this community that's talking about IT, like IT community Rijeka. They have their own podcast. Rene Brakus is running this beautifully. I was guest there as a podcast guest. All kind of people were guests there. And I invite you right now to listen to this show, to listen to this episode where he will talk about that. Now, he even worked in the startup, Infobip. He worked for various companies. He freelanced, and now he's working for a company. And he's here in Europe. He's here in Croatia, but he's working for another European company that's in the Sweden and Norway. Oh, where is it? I don't know. You should just plug in right now your headphones to relax and enjoy our beautiful talk that we had. Thank you. Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, what not. The key word here is that it's a day. It's a day. It's one day in life. It's today. And here is Mr. Rene. Hello, Mr. Rene.
Hello. Nice to meet you and to talk to you. We had already met.
We already met. We did? Oh yeah, we did some.
Some time ago.
I was a guest or something. Yeah. So
that was back in,
like, I don't know, maybe like last year.
That was back in 2020.
We want to forget that year, except that podcast. Just joking. He's an IT guy. He's Mr. Rene. He's like a programmer, someone would say. So he's a technical guy. So what a technical guy's doing in a startup space, somebody would ask. And you know, like I did introduction, people are usually like introduction for this Startup Rant podcast. People know that we're talking about startups, we're talking about things like that, and that usually people think that startups are like technical stuff, but not always. But here you are. You are an IT guy who you work in the company, and one day you started to work for a startup. Why?
So, well,
how?
I had started. Infobip, a company that I used to work for, is still kind of presented.
Just sorry. There was some technical difficulty here. It's new normal. Sorry.
Yeah,
so I would just want to say that I have like red bars here. Sorry. Please continue.
Okay.
Sorry, listeners. Sorry, people. It's a little bit Croatian English here, but we have like this kind of problem. We're just gonna go on, and because this is the new normal, and new normal is normal. So, yeah.
So I had started working for Infobip in 2012, I think. Infobip at that time identified as a startup. And I think that if you ask the owners today, they are still a startup, even though maybe some would argue against that definition right now. But yeah, being in a startup and being in Infobip at that time had taught me a lot. So it was basically a very dynamic, what you would expect from a startup, a very dynamic atmosphere. A lot of decisions are made on the go. So a lot of things are made by very on the whim, as you would say. So, but at the same time, a lot of things are very thought out, and you have to have a clear mission. You have to have this like strong anchor and a strong goal to push forward. So it is a mix of both worlds. You have to have this stability of knowing what you are, but at the same time, you have to be very flexible, because even though you know what you're doing, you actually don't. So it is kind of a mix. This experience in Infobip made me basically a person that I am today. Even though it was a relatively short experience, it is something that had influenced me a lot during later on in my career. It had taught me that I have to grab the bull by the horns, and I cannot let things just go by. So that was kind of the lesson behind it all. Yeah, so that is the story of me getting into the startup world, and me ultimately getting today working for 46 Elks. So that is the short introduction.
Yeah, you mentioned these kind of elks. I believe that that's kind of an animal. So you moved from the IT to some like animal herding, I guess, or something like that. I'm just joking, because you have that like behind yourself right now, and it says something username, password. So what you're doing there? You're hacking people.
Oh,
You're curly elk.
obviously.
Okay, curly elk. Yeah. When I had a hair, I had a little bit curly hair. So maybe you're in hairdressing. I don't know.
Absolutely.
And because we talked before, I know that this company is not here in Croatia, and you are here in Croatia right now, right?
Perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything is metrics, maybe. So, how is that different? You're working from a startup, then you switch to some kind of big company. Of maybe you had something in between, but the shift and the mindset, how that works.
So yeah, even though, as I said before, Infobip was a startup at a time, they were huge. Actually, when I started working for them, they had a lot of employees, hundreds of employees. And right now, the company that I'm working for, when I started working for them, there were only 4 of us. And yeah, so we had now gradually grown to 10. And we are still growing. But the thing is, yeah, when you come to think of it, if you keep that mindset, startup mindset, if you keep that philosophy within your company, yes, it is important. If your company grows, some management decisions are different. There's a good saying that if you manage more than 100 people, you become a politician. You have to think like a politician. So you have to guide the company in a different way. But when it comes to 46 Elks, we are basically like a family. We can communicate anything very quickly, rapidly, simply. Things are being dealt with swiftly. And yeah, so that is the main thing about a small team, as you would imagine, since you yourself are also in in a small team. You have a startup, and there's only a couple of us, a couple of you. So the thing is, we are basically trying to build, and we are succeeding. At least I think we are in making API telecom API available for developers that are trying to integrate telco capabilities into their applications, service, etc. So it is as simple as having, if someone sends a text message to a certain number, you can automate the process. So by someone sending a simple text message, this could trigger a bunch of other actions on your system or on someone else's phone or something like that. People usually do not realize the potential that an ordinary voice or text message has still in this world. So yeah, we are trying to make a difference in this very competitive market. The telco market is actually very competitive by itself, and we are trying to basically be very developer friendly. That is something that is kind of already a corny way of saying it. So everyone is trying to be developer friendly, but we are doing it from another point of view. We are trying. Basically, our perspective is that we are all technically enabled. We are all very much. I would say we are all developers, but that isn't completely true. Some of us are system admins, system engineers. We have people that had been only front end, had dealt only with front end in the past, etc. But yeah, the thing is, we are trying to communicate our service and what we do directly to the developer, directly to that IT world. So instead of going broadly and hitting those ads on YouTube, Facebook, Google, etc., we are trying to get in the very gist of it and focus on what is really important for developers. What could we do to help them out, to help them integrate what we offer into their apps, into their services? And perhaps they don't even need our service, but we would like to have that opportunity to present our product, to present our service, and have them decide. So the thing is, this is a Swedish startup, and the CEO and also the CTO, so they are the same person, which is a task, a difficult task by itself. Johannes had decided that the only way that he will get new customers is by getting to the community. So talking about his product, and this is very organic. This is very slow, and it isn't on the fast track of doing things, but it is very thoroughly done. So when you think about it, when you go and what we are doing right now in IT community Rijeka. So basically I had founded this community in order for all of my colleagues to have a place to chat, to talk to each other. So my main objective was firstly to connect the IT sector of Rijeka and its surrounding in one place. And then when I have this one place, I can use that to promote 46X, or someone else can use that to promote wherever. When it comes, yeah, so that is the thing. We all need to strive to that goal.
And I just wanted to say this. I'm gonna, interrupt a little bit. Sorry for that, but everybody right now, even if you go to YouTube and you watch something, you will get that kind of annoying videos about maybe somebody's. There are two ways, of course. Like everything in life, like somebody's going to tell you like 5G is coming, it's a problem, or 5G is coming, it's a solution. But actually, there are countries that 5G is not coming. It will not come in some way, but there are other technologies based on GSM, based on SMS, based on MMS, and stuff like that. That maybe developer from Croatia, a developer from Balkans, a developer from Europe, developers from United States of America, developers from Australia or whatnot, do not even think of because they don't have exposure to that. So when we talked on the podcast and in these talks before and after, because we really have good talks and fun talks, it's interesting for me to understand, because I'm not so much an IT guy, but I do understand what's happening around, and it's interesting for me to see that there is company like 46Elks that can employ people, and that those employees like yourself are trying to not promote but actually to make awareness of. Now I'm doing a little monologue, sorry for that, but
Yeah,
but like what you do, what your colleagues, sorry, are doing is like explaining that there is a whole bunch of technology that maybe people are thinking is old, but if you know how to type, you know how to use it in a way, let's say like that. Because I'm already seeing with my kid, he's at 2.5 years old, and he's like swiping on the screen and whatnot. And I was like, when I was 2.5 years old, like mud was my best friend,
yeah,
a little bit of joke, but this is where the world is coming to. But we need to step back and see what's there. What you're saying right now, what you said right now, is interesting to me, especially for the startup role. Even if 46Elks is not a startup, it's business is not like we are going to get VC funding and whatnot. But as a team, as a decision making, as a kind of what you said right now, like leaning forward toward one idea or another idea. It's like a little agile. It's cool. It can happen really quickly, and I think that people today need to pay awareness to that as well. Maybe not somebody is for the startup, but maybe for somebody is for the company, and he can find his place in something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
no,
like ranting here, like too much. I don't know.
no. So yeah, definitely startups. Startup. So you had mentioned this definition of startups. So I don't know. Do you care to
Yeah.
share that definition? Yeah.
Yeah, like my definition of startup is actually changing. Like I said even before, like it's changing all the time, because what people think that startup is, especially today when we see Elon Musk and companies like I don't know, Shazam or Amazon, like are there startups? They started from the garage. Now there are big companies, got all the kind of investments, or somebody like bought into the startup, and now like Elon Musk, who like didn't, and I like to emphasize that, didn't invented Tesla. He just like bought it with majority of share there. My like at the moment at least, like I want to, you never know when mind or time will change, but a startup to me is like a company that can swiftly and quickly test their idea, work on it, and gain traction or gain investment for it, and if needed, change what they're doing, because that's what we are doing with our startup. We didn't just like um, like, oh, let's just do this. We like tested that. We opened a company. We moved from the big company jobs to do this, and then we tested this beforehand, and it was working. And we got investment, and we got bootstrapping from ourselves, of course, and our families. And we started working on this, and then we got even VCs involved in this, investing in this. So that's kind of a startup life. It's not $1 million or $1 billion that's people are listening all the time right now, but it is a kind of a way, right? And you worked for Infobip, which right now is in Croatia news all the time because um, they are not just getting investment, they're actually merging or acquisitioning other companies, which is an interesting point, and it's an interesting subject that I'm gonna talk about in this podcast as well, because that's something that people don't talk too much about, but it's important. And there are companies like little companies like 46 Elks or whatnot that are doing amazing job in the similar field like big startups or big companies, but providing something else for you know diversity. That's whole point of this. Like let's just like so I went off the rails like right now. I know.
No, it's fine. Yeah, you got a point there. So if it weren't for Infobip, for example, I would never get into this telco business,
Yeah.
and I would never be that good of a profile for someone like for a Swedish company. So sometime, maybe in the near future, you will have employees in your company beyond scene screen, and you will have people that will leave. It's all natural. It's the part of life, and perhaps that person will bring in a company from the industry in Croatia also in the future. So it will enrich the whole system. The thing is about when it comes to companies like Infobip, and when it comes to companies like 46 Elks, it's not just about having a Croatian startup in Croatia that is creating jobs, etc. It is about creating the whole ecosystem and actually helping build people that are confident enough that they can build something on their own, or in other scenario, they can actually provide value for other similar companies from abroad, which
Yeah,
is
be part of it, be part of it, but functional part of it, not just like I'm just there to do a job, you know.
sure. So yeah, you can be a decision maker in the company because early on when you join a company, the odds of you becoming a decision maker are higher. So yeah, the thing is relevant to the community, relevant to building that community. I think that you and I are both very, very passionate about distributing, sharing those our experiences and information outside of our minds and
Yeah.
outside of our some private conversations. So what the interesting thing that I had in conversation that I had with you before, where the experience you had with getting investments, getting VCs interested, etc., etc., etc. That is a valuable experience that you can share with someone that is sitting right now in a garage with only an idea, and he or she is scared and does not know how to proceed. So you can grab them by the hand,
Yeah.
and but not directly, but with these type of recordings, with these type of podcasts, you can grab them by the hand and say, hey, it's not that scary. That world isn't that scary. You can do it. A lot of people have done it. You don't have to be too brainy or too smart to do it. You have to be determined. You have to have goodwill and good organizational skills, and that's it. Go for it. So I think I had talked on a similar topic with Kristina Ercegovic, which was on our live stream podcast interview, whatever you want to call it, for
Yeah,
IT Community Rijeka.
Okay, I need
Yeah,
to stop you right now. Sorry, man. I'm
yeah,
stop you right now. Christina Segovic is one fine lady in Britain or someone. She will be like a dame of business, right?
yeah, sure,
But
yeah,
I'm not gonna do introduction right now for her. You're gonna do it if that's okay with
yeah,
you, because she was first
sure,
on your podcast. I'm hoping she will be here as well. But just explain to our listeners and our viewers who she is in this kind of a term, because this is worldwide, and people need to know that this woman,
absolutely.
this fine lady, she's really oh man, she's really helping everybody here with her talks, with her business cafe, which is like I'm doing introduction right now. My God, can you please do a little bit, because you talk with her on your podcast, please.
Sure.
Just to have
So
like overview when you
yeah,
mentioned her why. Okay, thank you.
sure, sure, sure. So yeah, well, Christina is a serial entrepreneur, and she at one point in her time in her life, when she had just finished college, went on to a high position. So she went on to work for a company that is very popular and and is known for. Uh, Basically, if you work for this company, you will have your career set. So you don't have to worry about a lot of things. So she had left this very comfortable job, actually, and went on to build a company that dealt with mystery shopping and dealt with helping companies to get the real feedback from the customers that are being served. So I'm sure this is quite popular right now, but I think 18 years
Yeah,
ago when she
yeah,
started it, this was just new. And she got this idea from a talk show, and she didn't have any experience at all in this sector. So she went on, she was brave. She went on and she said it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. I'm going to go ahead and try. And she was very persistent, very hardworking as she is right now. And she did it. She made it. So it was, I think she sold the company later on, maybe 8 or 10 years later on. And she went on with her new mission of connecting all of the entrepreneurs in Croatia by organizing these conferences called Business Cafe, etc. She also has a lot of, she's been doing a lot of stuff regarding empowering women when it comes to their workplace, when it comes to money management, etc. So the Kristina Ercegovic does not need any introduction in Croatia, and I would say perhaps in the Balkans. But yeah, we said it. The
yeah.
thing
Just
is
just for the
about
worldwide audience, just to understand this kind of, because I hope she will be a guest here too. And when you do this
I'm sure you
introduction, I'm just gonna copy it. From,
sure go ahead. So what I was saying,
yeah. Back to the
Christina, yeah,
topic.
what I was saying. So Christina is known. So in my opinion, she is the prototype of what a typical Croatian that wants to start something, that has that entrepreneurial, if that is a word spirit. Uh, it, you have to be brave. So the thing is, after the interview, as you do, I had connected with Christina on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. And I saw a couple of comments from people saying, hey, Christina, you're not doing anyone a favor by painting the whole picture pink. The situation in Croatia is bleak for startups. It's bleak. It's not very good for entrepreneurs right now. You know, why are you doing that? That is not a realistic point. And she went on to say, yeah, maybe it's not, but it's my way of looking at things. That is my perspective. And I really appreciated that, because in Croatia, in Balkans, we are really tired of realistic. So we need some really, maybe even delusional optimism right now. we are in the need of we are in the need of an optimistic, delusional fix. So that is something that we need badly, because I had seen this very optimistic wave and very positive emotions in a company that I mentioned before, Infobip. So the main point when you work for Infobip,
the guys from Infobip right now, they're building campus here in Croatia, which is like regarded in the world, like Google has campus, Amazon has campus, and Europe will have like Infobip campus here in Croatia, which is like pink glasses all the way, right? Now,
excellent. And in Sarajevo, I think.
So, Zagreb, they're like there are actual buildings that you can go and look at it if you don't believe in anything. Like I see on what I believe, there's a building there being built right now that's gonna help the next generation of entrepreneurs from Croatia, from the Balkans, from Europe, because like Rimac automobile, right, autocar electric car company is hiring people from all over the world here in Croatia. It's regarded as the fastest electric car in the world. Like there are no pink glasses right now. There is only maybe a black opinion. Like, you don't see everything is dark, everything is bleak, everything is, let's look at the bright side, because there is that side. Like, that's my opinion.
Sure. So yeah, I think that I'm very optimistic. I believe that we are all well on our way of becoming a startup nation. We are well on our way on becoming a country that is very friendly to that spirit of building new stuff, building new things, trying out, and that has a lot of financial support to do it, and has that safety net, so that people that had just came out of college, like Christina, have that audacity to go out and say, hey, I'm going to try. I don't have much to do. I don't have a family right now. I'm going to waste 2 years of my life. What the heck? Maybe this will catch on, maybe not. We need those people coming out and say that. So that is something that we as a society, I think, have an obligation to create those settings. With Infobip, as you mentioned, the campus, there are all kind of it's Startup Nation materialized. So it is something that is being materialized before our eyes. It is something that spirit that drives Infobip, and I had been somewhat a part of that spirit. To be frank, I didn't use it properly. Maybe I was too young. I didn't realize what I was a part of. That spirit transfers in all of segments. It doesn't just stay within one room where the CEO is. So the thing is, we should all strive on building welcoming communities that are forgiving, that are willing to help, that are not judgmental, that are here in the long run. So there is a saying, I forgot what country it is from. I think it's Turkey. When they seed a date, you know what a date is. So when you plant a seed,
it's in the whole calendar. There's a date. Oh no! You mean like a plum shaped fruit that you can actually seed the part of it.
Perhaps this story is completely wrong.
If you put a walnut right in the, because it's shaped like brain, like, I mean, Croatia.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. Right. If you put it in the country, in the soil, and the tree grows, but you are doing it as an old man. That's the saying, right? Yeah.
Yo,
Continue.
so
Continue.
uh, we should all, so these changes will not happen within the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
It will not be obvious,
Yeah.
but it will be obvious in the next 15, 20 years. I'm sure of it. So we are now planting the seeds of the things that will come and the things that will make a difference in this part of the world. I can tell, especially, so there is a blessing in disguise with this whole pandemic thing, where I think people are urged to go out there, but not literally out, but instead in front of their computer monitors and start connecting with other people. And I found that I had connected more with people now that while this pandemic is going on, than before, because before there was this, how can I say, convention where you had to meet someone. It was proper for you to call and meet someone in person if you want to continue this conversation.
And give the business card. You know.
Sure. Yeah. So this is a good stride. This is a good step in that, as one of my guests said, online presence or online first. So he always insisted before the pandemic on online first. So if we can do it online, let's do it. And as you mentioned before this talk, we don't have to do it perfectly. There's obviously some sort of a stain on my roll up here, and I don't care.
Like so right now I have this cap on, but on one recording I have actually glare from the light because I'm bald, and I was like, my God, should I just stop recording? Because it's recording. I can stop it, and I'm just saying right now it's recording, and people listening to this like or watching this like, maybe you should, but this is the new normal. Like somebody was commenting about new normal and said like, yeah, you know this new normal, it's really like hard. And I said, yeah, it's really hard. You know, I just really liked before when we had stage coaches and the trains were not going fast, like 15 hours, you know, and something per mile or whatnot. And I really had to go to do my thing in a, you know, whatnot, in the middle of the field, or you know, and read the news like after 2 weeks that some war started or stopped. You know, there is no new normal. There is what we're doing, this pandemic and things like that, for startups, for companies, for people. If you, of course, deaths and everything, I need to address this right now. It's bad. It's really affecting us all. We need to wear masks and whatnot. But this happened before, but the children were dying. This happened before, the young were dying, either war or something like that. But saying to somebody like, you know, I don't know how to do business because I cannot meet with the people in the bar, in a restaurant, or on the conference is not new normal. It's not against the new normal. It's actually what you do right now. You mentioned IT community, Rijeka, right? Rijeka was hit also by this problem right now, right? Because dear listeners, dear viewers, Croatia was presidency of a European nation for 2020, the first 6 months. Rijeka, from which Rene is hailing from, was nominated before, win, and was host of culture events for Rijeka, right? All the plans, everything was falling apart, and it fell apart spectacularly, one might say, or devastatingly, somebody else might say.
Yeah.
It fell apart anyhow, but you did what you could do as a town, as a city, and what you just right now said. People moved from the physical presence to the online presence, and I was guest on your IT podcast, IT Community Rijeka podcast, because that was cool. That was fun to talk about people, what I do, what my company does, what my startup does, what I as a person believe too. But you didn't start that as a something like trend or what now. It made more sense as a necessity, but also as a vehicle, at least I believe, as a vehicle to provide to people from Rijeka who are in the IT community to actually be a community,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. So
So what you do
we
there, you can like elaborate a little bit more.
so yeah,
Because
we had
you had sorry to drop you, but you had so interesting guests like even Christina. She's not IT community, right? But she's
yeah,
part
sure.
of that because we are all part of something, like
So
tentacles.
so, so yeah, when it comes to Croatia, we are. It's a somewhat small ecosystem. We have, if I would guess, I think that maybe 10,000, maybe 50,000 IT professionals in general. There are maybe 50,000 IT professionals in Croatia right now that are active, that are doing something. So when you think about it, it's not that big of a community. When you go to the most popular Facebook groups in Croatia, developer Facebook groups, you have, I think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's 20,000 or something like that. So it says a lot. So not everyone is using Facebook, but it says a lot about the state of the community right now. So, all right, so we have those 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people that we can recruit, that we can talk to, that they can give back. So let's do it. The thing is, talking only about technical subjects and talking only about technology isn't community work. That is my perspective. So the reason why I had invited Christina to come over, the reason why we'll have a psychotherapist to come on, she will come on 1st of February. The reason is we are a community and we are talking about a lot of things. We are sharing everything that is on our minds right now. So it doesn't have to necessarily be tech topics all along. Sometimes you get tired of hearing things you deal with on a daily basis. We could go on and talk about the implementation of some technologies, and we do, but we like to go into that direction of life. So it is a mix of topics. So we are trying things that could be beneficial and helpful for our IT community members. So that is the whole point. The thing that, again, what I'm emphasizing, I myself am trying to build this circle, this community, in order for other people, so that other people can communicate towards the members of that community. So that can be used as a platform to communicate stuff. Let's put it like that. So that stuff can be, okay, I have this job posting I want to share. I'm looking someone from Rijeka. Okay, sure. I want to organize XYZ. Sure, post it here. As long as it's not something that isn't completely related with IT, so a Tupperware party wouldn't be a good idea to organize.
Wait. I have an idea right now about application that connects all Tupperware moms together, that they can see the prices and ongoing Tupperware connections. And as my mother was also in Tupperware business, where can we gather? Because right now it's online, so maybe I want to see new Tupperware stuff. So it's IT. Yeah, sorry, man, it's IT.
Yeah. So obviously, so yeah, the thing is, when anyone, so you, me, whatever, so we have great examples in Split right now. So
Split.
Split, yeah. So yeah, Split has. I would argue that Split has built within the last. So again, for the audience, for people that are not from Croatia, Split is the second largest city in Croatia. It is situated in the on the Dalmatian coast.
Yeah.
On the
I'm just gonna say this because you know how people are in the world. There's Dubrovnik in Croatia where Game of Thrones was filmed. So also some parts of Game of Thrones was filmed in Split. So you know if you didn't visit, please visit. It's a
and
beautiful city.
and you will probably, if you are heading towards Dubrovnik, you will probably go through Split because there's a big. They have a big port, passenger port. They have a big airport, etc. So yeah, so Split is the second largest city in Croatia. Some very altruistic individuals, I would say, had started up this. So it's called Split Tech City. So it's basically what every city should do. It is they are recruiting and they are sending out a message of community. So they are putting all of the companies, IT companies from Split and the surrounding of Split, the Split County actually, they are all putting them together and they are saying, all right, what can you bring back to the community? Can you share some good stories? Can you be a part of this conference? Can you sponsor something like this, etc., etc., etc.? So it's headed, and the person in charge there is Damir Berčić. Hi, Damir. Thank you for everything you have done. Damir had also inspired me to do similar stuff in Rijeka. The thing is, we have to find mentors, even though those mentors do not know about us. So they don't have to be aware of our existence, but still we can find them, we can learn from them. And as I learned from Split Tech City, or as they're called in Croatia, in Croatian, ICT Županija, which is actually ICT County. This whole organization is devoted to helping out people be connected, and basically helps them out. It helps them realize that the whole startup world, the whole let's start a company, let's get on with this idea, isn't that scary. It is something that you can do and stay alive. So afterwards, so it isn't a near-death experience. It isn't something that you will be regretful of. Perhaps you will, but I'm sure you won't. It is an adventure. It is something that we need to start implementing that spirit, implementing that courage into every person in Croatia that is willing to listen. So I'm starting to. Maybe I'm a bit like a motivational speaker, but right now very you know, so I'm very so. But really, the thing is, when you get to the gist of it, it is that positive spirit.
Yeah.
So if you're
yes, sorry.
Yeah, if you're down and if you're depressed, nothing will be done. So if you have no energy, you cannot expect a nation, a town, a village with no energy, with no life potential to build new stuff, to have new things produced. And now I'm not talking about age. Let me clear that out of the way. I'm talking about we have to choose to ignore the bombardment we have with negative news. And we have that in Croatia, we have that trend in Croatia consistently for the last 10 years or so. especially some. I'm not. A lot of news portals are doing a lot of good stuff, but there are some that are very clickbaity, and there are some that are pulling the very worst and displaying it outside. And the tragedy of it all is that sometimes those headlines get propagated outside of our borders, and it seems and it creates this image of us being something that we are not. So, based on the headlines, someone would conclude that Croatia is this very dark, very a place with no future, a place with no tech community of any sorts. Maybe only if they looked for the last couple of months of the headlines regarding all of the acquisitions and all of the things that have been happening in our IT ecosystem, they would perhaps change their not minds. But yeah, so that is why I applaud efforts and things that you are doing right now, because you are going outside of your scope. Your company probably will not get any extra customers or anything out of this. But the thing is, in the long run, you are creating this new environment, new atmosphere that allows people to grow. Let's put it like that.
You know what I was thinking about guests here on the startup rant. I was thinking like, you know, I have to get you here because I was a guest at your startup. Oh my God, on podcast. Now everything is like startup to me right now because I'm ranting all the time. And what I want to say, like, you know, because you're talking about the community, even the name that you have for your podcast is IT community. You know, it's all about the community, and I like this because we're gonna just like wrap this up around this thought, and this thought is beautiful because it talks about and you put it beautifully because it's not about the bleak future or a bleak news that somebody maybe not intentionally is presenting to the world outside, right? That's why I'm trying to do this. Like, we're going to talk about stuff happening here. It doesn't matter if you're a startup as a startup per se. You know, I'm a startup, I got investment and I'm like growing rapidly, I'm failing and maybe I'm pivoting, yada, yada, yada. It's about the people who had contact, who worked with, or who can actually provide guidance, advice, maybe even like a countermeasure and maybe counter advice, because I will have guests, I hope so, to have people from the big tech world or the big financial world who will say, you know, if you want to have a steady future, if you want to go do this, go be a bank teller. I'm just, you know, putting it out there. I don't know what is the good future. What I think it's about the person, you know. I'm happy where I am right now. I'm sure you're happy where you are right now, right? Doing what you're doing, because you weren't doing like your regular job. And then after that, after hours, going to try to find guests and record and do live events on IT community, Rijeka podcast. You wouldn't do that because if that's not who you are, right? And that I believe that it's a beautiful story what you said about people like Christina, like all the guests that you have there, that you even go into details about, you know, providing IT talks, right? But you also talk about life, because this is life right now. Not right now, because if you go back to the past, like go back to the past, like go back to the future, I don't know. I'm always in the movie references. That's my problem, you know. Bear with it. I don't know. So if you go back to the future or go back to the past, you will always see people that they're talking about what's around them. They're not talking about, you know, they're going to be space rockets if they're like kicking stones around and trying to make fire, right? They're doing what they're doing right now. Is that a startup? Well, if somebody is paying you to start a fire, you know, I don't know. Maybe it is. You know, that's kind of a thing. But it's all about the community, because we, as a social beings, even right now in the pandemic, um, we saw rise of these kind of social media, rise of these social interaction sites and chats and whatnot, and we're trying really to help each other because that's who we are, right?
Yeah. So,
So
yeah, I
if you
think
like,
that
for wrap it up, like, do you have an advice for people, or like, what would be your final words
I
on
would, I would,
this guest session? Because we're gonna talk more, man.
so yeah, I would put it like this. So, not everyone is for startup life. Let's call it like that. So, you can have a day job and you can have a startup on the side. You can start something, you can start working on it. You can also have a situation where you work for a startup and have a day job. Fine. The thing is, perhaps you can have a different role within that startup world. You don't have to be an owner of the company. You don't have to be a founder. You don't have to have a very important position in that company. What I can guarantee, if you are a part of a startup, you will have a very interesting life, and you will experience a lot of emotions, good and bad, and you will, most importantly, learn. You will actually get to know yourself, because during all of these hardships and good and bad things, and positive things, you will learn your reaction. You will learn how to react. You will learn how to basically tone down your ego sometimes, because I truly believe that it is a stoic. So in the stoic philosophy, you have basically what they're saying is you cannot judge a character or someone's character if that character isn't tested. So if you want to test your character, if you want to know who you really are, join the startup crew, join someone and help them build a startup. You don't have to jump all in. You don't have to be Miroslav here. You don't have to co-found the company. You don't have to jump all in. You can be a part of it as an employee. You can help out. So the thing is, as I've talked with Christina, she said, well, right now, when I had started to not, so basically what she said was, some percentage, only a small percentage of the population is willing and has what it takes to lead a company, to own and have a company. And some people simply do not have what it takes, or they don't have the will to do it. So what I'm saying right now, that's fine. You don't have to be that 1% or 5% or 10%, whatever. You can be a part of that adventure and have very good friends and have very good life lessons learned by being in some tricky situations sometimes, because I can guarantee you that if you're in a startup, you will have tricky situations, and you will have your teammates tested, and you yourself will be tested, and you will have friends almost for life, because you will get to know them on a very personal level. But at the same time, I can guarantee you, if you sit at the desk of a big bank, which isn't bad at all, but if you do that, you will have somewhat of a different life. I'm not saying that that is a bad life, but you will have a different life. It will have different effects on you. You will possibly have a colleague that you will have a relationship, a good co-working relationship with for 20 years, and your relationship will never be tested. You will not be in that position, and that's fine. Perhaps that will be a second part of your life. But what I'm saying is, give it a shot, try it out, It is fun. Nothing will happen to you. We are living in a Western part. We are living in a very rich part of the world, even though our media are saying differently. Yes, we are having some issues with employment. We are having some issues we need to settle out. But compared to the other parts of the world that are still very much struggling and have issues with getting their bread on the table, literally, we are better off. And we have this opportunity to say, hey, let's go with this adventure. Let's start it out. Let's give it our best and see what happens. Perhaps we will have something to tell our kids or our grandchildren. Why the hell not? So that is the thing. How I wrapped it up perfectly.
Perfectly. And that was like beautiful, because right now, if you think about it, if you don't use what you have at your disposal, you're just setting yourself to fail. If you're using it and you still fail, at least you used it and you have like a mindset that can, enrich you and make you to work further.
Sure.
Even get you in a situation that maybe not this job, not even the second job or 15th job, or maybe even 15 startup will get you somewhere, but maybe 16 will, because you have opportunity to do that, because take what you have and just work with it. I'm not a fan of those, we all have 24 hours the same. We do not, everybody's life is different, but at least we are in this part of the world that we can, at least in the past, and even now, you can jump on a plane and go to London and go to the United States. On the same note, you can go to the Kenya or to Tokyo. Will take you a little bit more longer, but there is a part of this beautiful traveling experience that you can do because you're in the middle of the almost world when you look at it, and you're in the middle of the tech space, because there are huge companies around us. There are literally here in Croatia, but there are huge companies in the countries around us, from Austria, Berlin, London, and even if you go further. So even you're working from Rijeka for a company all the way into Sweden, right? So there is opportunity right now. Rene, thank you very much for guesting here. And being like this kind of a community spokesperson right now, at least for now, and then you will go back. I hope to talk a little bit more in next years that we're gonna. I hope this podcast will go like for years and years, and we're gonna talk about everything. And one day we'll just like we're sitting here like sipping like some wine on the French Riviera and said like, man, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
But right now, this is beautiful because I just want to. I did this kind of a thing because I wanted to say like everything is a journey right now, and we are in this beautiful part of the journey that we do not just hoard everything that we know for ourselves. I'm really thinking about your podcast because I was guest there, and I think right now that you're providing for the community, and I think the community is going to give back and is giving back already to other parts of the community that you created in a way, about people, about technology, about business, let's say like that. So
sure. It is. So what you said, this podcast doesn't have to last for years.
Yeah.
But it is one spark. Yeah. It is one spark of the change that comes, that is coming. So that is the thing. So perhaps if I didn't start this in Rijeka, perhaps someone would in a year and a half or 2 years from now. Whatever. It just happened that I had been in this place in time and I had decided to do it. Like you had just.
Maybe two of us right now sparked interest in podcast, sparked interest in video cast. Maybe we sparked interest in IT. Maybe we sparked interest in entrepreneurship spirit at all to somebody who was just sitting right now on the YouTube, Podbean, or wherever they're listening, Amazon Alexa right now. I don't know, somewhere they're listening us, and they said like, man, I'm going to listen more. I'm going to listen this. I'm going to listen that. I'm going to read this book, that book, and who knows what happens, That's the point here, because nothing happened. Even the fire didn't start, by itself. There was a spark, because that's the word, spark. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for having me, and best luck to you and your podcast. I think we'll talk soon. And yeah.
beautiful. Thank you. Bye.